There you go, fits the bottles perfectly.
Today we're going to use OpenSCAD. It's a free programming tool that lets you do CAD using basic objects to add and subtract and intersect and things like that. And we're going to create a bottle holder for ceramic coatings. This is our finished model, but I'm going to take you through the steps. So to start, basically we start with a very basic shape, which is called a cube, but it's basically a rectangular prism. It has 3 dimensions, three-dimensional object, a width, a depth, and a height. We can change those just by changing a variable in a program. Now, for this holder, what we want to do is subtract out the inside because there's no reason it has to be solid. So let me show you what that looks like. For that, we're gonna subtract another cube. It's not really a cube because it has different dimensions. We're gonna subtract a smaller cube from inside the outer cube. Here's what that looks like. So you can see it just became hollow. The next step is we're gonna have to remove the holes that the bottles will sit in. And later on, I'll show you how we can configure multiple holes. It doesn't have to be just 1 or 2 or 4. It could be however many you want. But I want you to see how we subtract those, how we create those holes by subtracting a cylinder from within the rectangular prism. So here's kind of what that looks like. And to see the cylinders, I can make those show here. Give me 1 second. There you can see the cylinders that we're subtracting out to create those holes. Let me rotate a little bit so you can see those a little better. Okay. The next step is going to be that we want to mount this on a wall. So on the back side here, I'm going to add some screw holes. I'm going to do this about the simplest way I can think, which is to have like a smaller hole and then below it a bigger hole. So the screw head will go in the bigger hole, and you'll slide the whole thing down and it'll rest on the smaller hole. So let's start with the left-hand side one. And let's start with just the smaller hole. Oh, right side one. Left-hand side from this direction. And again, let me highlight how what I actually am doing there. I'm taking a cylinder and I'm rotating into position. I'm telling you how big I want it, and I'm subtracting it from the main object. Now let me do the larger circle below that the screw head will go through. There we go. And I can show what that looks like, that object that I subtracted. And then let's do the right-hand side, or left hand from this perspective. It's basically the same thing. I'm just locating it in a different location relative to the main object. And finally, what we want to do is add our logo to the front. There's a simple command for that. You just need to tell it where you want to put it. And in our case, what we're going to do is we're going to subtract it from the main object, so it's like embeds itself in it. There we go. So those are the main basic shapes that we use to create something like that. And then what I want to show you is we have written this program is to allow you to change the number of bottles, and it'll change the whole size of the object. I think maybe our text will get a little, oh no, our text does stay centered. I forgot I accounted for that, but now that can hold 5, or we could say no, we only need 3. The other thing we can do, let me go back to 4 here. The other thing we can do is like change the size. So I usually use like a micrometer to figure out how wide of a hole I need for things like this, and then I'll punch it into the program. And so let's just say I need it to be a little bit smaller. Right now it's 35 millimeters, 3.5 centimeters. Let's make that 25 millimeters. It actually resizes the whole model to accommodate the smaller hole size. And then I can also change the bottle spacing, for example, if I wanted to have the whole piece be larger and separate the bottles more. Let me go back to my original design here. There we have it. Thanks for watching. So once we have our final model using OpenSCAD, we have to render it and save it as a STL file, which is an object file that's used in 3D printing. So I press F6, it renders it, and then I do File, Export as STL, where you got a nice name in here for it. Export that, right, previous version. Then to 3D, find my file that just exported. I'm going to drag it into Curio, which is 3D printing software. And now we can see this over here. And what this program does is it actually takes the solid model and slices it and creates the instructions that the 3D printer needs to basically draw the 3D object. So I can show you how that works. Choose a regular low quality so it prints fast. I say slice, and now it's ready. Let me show you the preview, because what this does is it shows all the different layers and how they're going to be printed. Though I'm going to need support structure. Let me show one other thing here. This actually shows what the printer will do to create this object. Let me animate it a little bit so you can see it. So this thing is showing you like the print head drawing each of the individual lines to create the whole first layer. It's a little bit more interesting when you get up to higher layers. Let's do like there. Let's do this layer. So you can see it draws back and forth to one side, it skips back over the other side, and then it fills it in. So the problem with this model as it stands, the way this model is being sliced, is that you can't really print, you can't really do this part. You can't just print in thin air. So you need something for the printer to lay the filament on the prior layer. So these sides are fine, but this part here where it has to do this giant span is not going to work. So I need to put supports in. And let's see. So I want to, let's see. It's a whole support section. Support, generate support. And last time I did this, last time I printed it, I think I used tree support. That's kind of cool. Well, let me do regular support and slice it and see what that looks like. Okay, so what that's going to do, let me just scroll sideways here. This blue part represents all of the filament that the printer's going to print in order to support this top layer. And this would work, but it's a heck of a lot of filament. The other part is it's going to print on the previous layers, and then we're going to have to take all that stuff out, and it'll leave markings on it. So what I did last time is this different type of support, which is called tree support. And what it allows you to do is to place the support only where it will touch the build plate, which is this area around the model, rather than in the model itself. So let's slice this and see how it looks different. So I don't know if it's easy to see here, but basically what it's going to do is it's going to like build a little tree starting on the outside of the model, and it's going to build up, build up, build up, so that it has enough support underneath these top overhangs. It even actually builds through the screw holes, the mounting holes, which is kind of amazing. Actually, if you can get in there, well, I'll have to see. Yeah, there we go. You can even see it in here. Still seems like it's gonna have trouble painting this span, but I don't know. We could try it and see what happens. It worked pretty well last time I printed. So, but let me just also show how I print some of these things. Animated again. Sorry. Where's our printing? There it is. See it printing the tree supports. And then when it gets to the next layer, it's going to print on top of that. I think it worked last time. So this should work. There it goes. So it's printing that on the prior layer that came in through the mounting wall. And then when the print is done, we can just remove all this stuff and it'll leave the model intact. Alright, so that's going to take 4 hours and 14 minutes. Let me save this. And then I need to go to my 3D printing software and upload that model. If you want that in there, you might need to make a cut. This is called ceramic coating. So there we go. Go there.
This is the finished and final updated design of the bottle holder. You can see the structure, how strong it is in there now. In the back, a little bit of a gapped area for the screw, but this is definitely the strongest of the designs that we made. Now I'm going to put up on a wall. I'm going to put it up over here. I'm going to found a spot for it somewhere over here. I'm gonna show you how it looks. And you can see the perfect fit to display your bottles on the wall. You can bolt it to your detailing cart. You can just working on them or just on display in your studio. But this is a nice, easy way you can customize it. I did here